acompañar a los territorios en este último trecho.
Ein eigenes Rückholprogramm auflegen.
Il ne faut pas se tromper pour autant.
This is the challenge that this pandemic poses to the travel sector. Every country is speaking a different language when it comes to the gradual opening of borders. Some are beginning to open for tourists, but not here.
Statement from the Home Secretary, Priti Patel.
After weeks of speculation, the UK government today set out the rules coming into force from Monday.
We know that they will present difficulties for the tourism industry, but that is why we have an unprecedented package of support, the most comprehensive in the world for employees and for business. But we will all suffer in the long run if we get this wrong.
From Monday, if you're travelling to the UK, you will need to fill in an online form to provide your journey and contact details before you travel. If you don't fill out the form, you could be refused entry or fined an amount that will be set by the Scottish Government. In England, that amount is £100 and £1,000 for breaking quarantine. There are some people exempt from the rules, including road haulage workers, healthcare professionals travelling for essential care, offshore workers and those travelling from Ireland, as long as they haven't been out of Ireland for 2 weeks. This evening, the Scottish Government said that quarantine regulations will come into force on Monday, including passenger locator forms.
There will be kind of dip sampling testing going on to see whether people are in the residence that they're meant to be in. If there's any suspicion that there isn't, that information can then be passed on to other agencies. And ultimately, at the very end of that process, if police choose to enforce it, they can do with a fine.
Travel and hospitality groups, meanwhile, have described the potential impact of these measures on their businesses as catastrophic.
I can't really imagine why people would want to come to the UK for a leisure or a business trip if they've got to spend 14 days being quarantined. It seems counterproductive. I understand that there's health and scientific advice that this may be necessary, but the fact is it's really devastating for inbound international travel.
The enormous pressure on the aviation industry here in Scotland was put into sharp focus this morning with the news that Rolls-Royce is to shed around 700 jobs at its plant at Inchinnan in Renfrewshire. The company says it has to resize to adapt to the enormous impact of coronavirus.
So this is going to be a really tough blow, not just for individuals, but for families that work there and prospective younger people that have thoughts of taking up apprenticeships in the future and working for a company like Rolls-Royce.
This week, the travel industry pleaded with the UK government to focus on so-called air bridges, aka quarantine-free travel with other countries with low COVID infection rates. Spain thinks air bridges are a good idea, just not with the UK. More tourists from the UK head to the Algarve each summer than from any other country, and the Portuguese government are more optimistic than their neighbours about such an arrangement, maybe by the end of June.
You are welcome, because we are preparing well to receive you in the most safest conditions.
The Home Office says they are continuing to look at air bridges as a concept, but putting those arrangements in place with any country will take time. Europe may be waking up, but for the tourism industry here, the siesta continues. Nick Sheridan, BBC News.